This is Lon Winters with Graphic Elephants.
This is Jimmy Lamp.
This is Matt Vassallo with the RhinstoneWorld.com.
And you're listening to the Two Regular Guys podcast.
And you are listening to the Two Regular Guys podcast.
Hosted by...
My name is Terry Combs, RG, regular guy.
And Aaron Montgomery.
We're just regular guys having fun and trying to make a living in this really cool and exciting industry.
I think we all want to succeed 100% of the time.
Seek to understand before I try and make myself understood.
Bring a ton of great information.
Coming to you live from somewhere dark, dirty, and dank. All right, welcome to the show. It is Friday, February 10th, 2023. I'm Terry Combs, and you can find me at terrycombs.com.
And I'm Aaron Montgomery, and you can find me at oursuccessgroup.com. Terry, today, it's been a little while, actually, in thinking back on this, that this used to be a fairly regular staple, and we kind of have had so many great shows along the way that we haven't had a chance to do one of these. But this is one of the Two Regular Guys famous talking about niche markets, whatever way you want to say it, right? It depends on who you are, but this is going to be a great discussion. We always love these, Terry. I always love to give you a hard time about your seminar that you did, the 52 niche markets in 52 minutes. And
I have the slides up on my other screen here just in case. I figure I can go to the back end of it. No one's ever heard those.
That's right. The first 12 are very covered, but yeah,
in detail.
Yeah, indeed. Awesome. So we got a great show today. We're really looking forward to the regulators being part of that conversation, because the idea here is to really just get those creative juices flowing. You know, we'll talk a little bit about what it means, but you know, what I always loved, Terry, has seen kind of the daisy chain effect, so to speak, right? Oh yeah, you do this. Oh, well, what if you did this for this? Right? So you could like be talking about a niche, but you could be working that exact same niche, but just a little bit differently. And that's a different niche market, right? So that's the cool part about a niche, is there's something for everybody.
Yeah, just like you said, it's just to stimulate ideas. It's not necessarily say, oh, okay, I'm going to do number 3. That sounds like a good niche market for me.
Yeah. No.
Can I tell my niche market story? Justin, who owns Oklahoma Shirt Company, was sitting in on my screen printing class. Not that he needed the screen printing class, but he was at Work with Products that week, and he started talking about niche markets. And I said, Justin, you know, we're screen printers, man. I feel too uppity calling it a niche market. Let's call it niche.
I know. I've heard it both ways, and I always come back to niche as well. But you know, sometimes it sounds cool to be like niche. What's my niche?
Right.
Awesome. All right. Well, we also have a great segment here coming up in just one moment. Let's say good morning to a couple of the regulators here real quick. First, though, we've got Chuck Peterson checking in. Good morning, Chuck. And Barb from Minnesota Custom Made checking. Good morning. And Mr. Todd Downing from Fat Dad Wholesale. Got to see him out at the APA show yesterday. So great to see him. And he does say that he's waiting for, and we're not the first ones to say it this time, Eric. The obligatory head shake just happened, by the way. So waiting for E-Rich to drop his album. All right. Well, good morning. And Mo, good morning. And Ramona, good morning. Kristen, good morning. All right. Well, Terry, before we get too far away, though, because as we could, right, we just jump right in talking about niche markets. We've got some news. There's some news out there happening, and our wonderful support in folks like Screen Printing Magazine. Adrian is going to be joining us in just one moment to share the news. So, Terry, are you ready for Adrian to bring some news to us here?
I'm ready to hear from my fellow Ohio University Bobcat.
There we go.
Good morning, Terry. Hi, Aaron. Thank you so much for having me on. Always fun to be here. My first bit of news is Talk Shirty to Me scores big Super Bowl opportunity. So if the Eagles win, t-shirts will be flying off the presses at the Dixon City, Pennsylvania-based screen printing shop. As one of the official printers for the Philadelphia Eagles, Talk Shirty to Me will be tasked with producing tens of thousands of t-shirts if the Eagles defeat the Kansas City Chiefs. Ron Agelli, CEO of Talk Shirty to Me and a member of Screen Printing's editorial advisory board, says if the local team wins, the presses will run for 12 hours straight. So Ron expects to receive an official phone call by roughly 11 p.m. the night of the game about whether he, along with 30 to 35 employees, plus some volunteers, will be tackling the job. So good luck to Ron and his team if the Eagles win. But I'm not sure I should say anything about the Eagles winning after seeing Terry's Kansas City flag earlier before we got on the call. So I want to get invited back, so I'm not going to say anything. But good luck to Ron and his team if that does happen. Second piece of news. At Impressions Long Beach, Goodwin Graphics presented the Silver Service Award to Aaron Draplin, the renowned graphic designer who's known for his bold creations. The award is presented to individuals who have made significant contributions to the graphic design industry and have demonstrated exceptional leadership, creativity, and innovation. Ron Goodwin of Goodwin Graphics says Draplin is a true leader in our industry and a role model for designers everywhere. His passion for design and his commitment to excellence are an inspiration to us all, and I'm honored to present him with this award. So congrats to Aaron for his accomplishment in this industry. And last but not least, in the Jan-Feb issue of Screen Printing Magazine, we highlighted 6 businesses who have surpassed $5 million in sales. Bim Ritter Sportswear, 1-800 T-shirts, Detroit Printing Company, Atlanta Sportswear, Night Owls, and Southeast Impressions. So from family businesses to parents' basements, each shop has a unique origin story. We asked the owners if there was one customer who took them over the edge. Did they grow so fast they couldn't handle the output? What has been the biggest challenge to growth? Their stories are very inspiring, so I urge you to read about each business and make sure you follow Screen Print Mag on Instagram this Tuesday, February 14th, when one of the members of the $5 million club, Night Owls of Houston, Texas, will be taking over our Instagram, giving a behind-the-scenes look into the print shop and what makes them part of this awesome club. So that's it for me. Thanks, Aaron and Terry. Have a great show.
Of course, he's got the flag up. Well, now I'm rooting for the Eagles just so we have some balance here. All right.
Yes, for our podcast listeners, I was holding up my Kansas City Chiefs flag, and I deserve this, Aaron. I have been a Chiefs fan for 35 years, so I have been through a lot of those missed field goals to not make the playoffs.
There you go. There you go. Well, what amazing news and great information. And I'm super excited about the $5 million club, especially that takeover happening. So I am a Screen Print Magazine Instagram follower, so I will be tuned in, as all of you should
You know,
be.
Aaron,
well.
that one piqued my interest as well, because I've been involved in so many companies in the past. And when I was in Kansas City, 2 fraternity guys who were selling shirts on campus and getting their MBAs, who started a screen printing business. At $3.5 million, they scream for help. You know, we don't know what we're doing.
Yeah.
So it's I'm very interested in seeing that as well, because it's everybody starts somewhere, and a lot of very big screen print operators or garment decorators have started in that garage or basement, and it will be interesting to see the growing pains that they went through. But it's an exciting journey. I'm sure they will all agree with that.
Yeah. And like I said, just the inspiration of all of that, right? Everybody starts somewhere. You were talking about the college people printing shirts. Reminds me, I don't know if you saw the 30 for 30 about the convicts, the Notre Dame, Miami, and them bootlegging shirts on campus, and
Exactly.
full of cash, and yeah, exactly. So, all right.
Awesome.
So great news segment from Adrian. Thank you so much. And also make sure that you guys are signed up to get on their newsletter and get that information. So just a wealth of knowledge there, and we're so grateful to have Screen Printing Magazine in the community together with us, and they do some amazing stuff over there. So make sure you keep supporting them and tell them that the 2 regular guys sent you. So,
yeah,
all right.
Adrian, with her Ohio University coffee mug, both of us graduates of journalism graduates of Ohio University. So next time she's on, I've got to get my mug out here.
Yeah, there you go. Love it. Thanks, Adrian. Appreciate you being here. All right, Terry. We want to talk niche markets, right? We're excited about that. But we are also extremely excited to bring you a dad joke, right? I mean,
Yeah. Unless you guys want us to skip it. Anybody wants
we
us to
just
skip
skip
it? No.
no.
Tom
Nobody.
just logged out.
He's ready. He's like by the keyboard, ready to have the reply. So while you're doing the next little segment, I can be giggling in the background. So, all right. Well, and now I'm trying to remember where the heck I saw this at, so I can give credit where credit is due. Oh,
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, you sent it to me. So
Yeah. It was a Facebook group, Unconquerable Men Facebook group that I'm in. So, the men's group do have some good dad jokes floating around in them too. So here we go. Are we ready for this one? Hold on.
Yeah, absolutely. Here it goes.
All right.
Here it goes. Why do
Go ahead, Terry.
why do Swedish warships have barcodes on them?
Why, Terry?
So when they dock, they can Scandinavian. Get it? Scandinavian. Thanks, Eric, for explaining that on the screen. For podcast listeners, Eric is showing us scan the Navy in and Scandinavian.
I'm glad you read it too, because I do a bad job of getting that through. So you did a very excellent job. And Kristen says the dad jokes is the main reason she tunes in. So I understand that. It makes a ton of sense to me.
Yeah, our listeners go from hundreds to like 12 after the dad.
Yeah.
All right. All right, Aaron, before we go any further, we want to thank everybody for checking out the Two Regular Guys podcast. We are always looking for new guests. So if you or anyone you know would like to join us, go to calendly.com/2 regular guys and give us your show ideas. If you are listening to the podcast version of the show, we would appreciate you sharing the Two Regular Guys podcast with all your industry friends so they can become regulators too. And we would appreciate you giving us a review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, Amazon Podcasts, wherever you do your podcast listening. It's really important to Aaron and I to get those reviews out there. Hopefully they're positive. If you're sitting here listening, and we assume they will be. Either way, what the heck? And if you're watching us live right now, please join in with your comments and questions. We're really looking for your ideas or niche markets that you've seen that might be of interest to our listeners as well.
Yeah, definitely. I can't wait to see. Just kind of like I said, I can't think of a better way to describe it. So if you come up with something, Terry, please jump in. But that kind of daisy chain, that right, take that idea, build on it, and then the next person takes that idea and build on it. It's just this really kind of fun organic growth that happens when you start being open to, how can I utilize that? As Terry mentioned, the idea here is not going, oh, well, on Terry's list of 52, I like number 12 and I'm going to do number 14 as well. Right. That's not it.
Yeah. And that is my new business plan.
Yeah, exactly. This is about, oh yeah, that's an interesting idea. How can I do that around? And we'll get, okay. Well, before we do that, no advertisement segment today. If you are somebody that would like to, make sure that the Two Regular Guys universe knows about what you're doing. Please make sure that you head over to tworegularguys.com/sponsorship, and you can check out details there. And we are open to new sponsors. And I was having a conversation with the folks over at Printing United, Terry, and I was like, well, we don't do this for the money, but certainly having some sponsorship would help make it continue on. Right. So that's just
exactly. And Aaron, and being the first and most listened to garment and product decorating podcast, 10 years in the making, we can call it the Two Regular Guys universe.
That's right. We can. Absolutely. The decorators community. So, so just check that out, tworegularguys.com/sponsorship. And if you have any questions, certainly let me or Terry or Eric know, and we're happy to answer any questions. Like I said, I was talking to the folks at Printing United, and they're like, hey, can you give us some information about, and I'm like, ooh, Yeah, I don't really track that, but I will find out. Who listens? I don't know. Awesome people. What else do you want? So, anyways, all right, Terry. Well, let's get into niche markets because as we could make this a 5-part show somehow, right? And we're going to do our best to get through all of this that you've got laid out for us here. So, we've kind of introduced what we're talking about and kind of the why behind it, but why is it that you and I find ourselves talking so much about niche markets? Why do we go, wow, yeah, this is a good show. This is going to be able to help people out there in the decorators community.
Well, first of all, you can't be everything to everybody, and by focusing on a niche market or a couple of niche markets, maybe one season, and the next season you're focused on this one. You can focus your marketing, you can focus your products, you can be the go-to expert in that marketplace. And for instance, when I first got involved in after I sold my screen printing business and was working with another large decorator, they were selling in the fraternity and sorority marketplace, and so from May until August, everybody got laid off in the company, and the owner would go to Florida to his condo in Boca Raton and golf all summer. And so when I got there, I'm like, hold on, I'm sure we could find another niche market to keep everybody employed through the summer as well. And so, we had 2 niche markets. We're actually a contract printer through the summer, primarily printing as a subcontractor for people who were decorating for the NFL. And it was perfect scenario. And I said, okay, but as of August 15th, we can't do one more piece for you because our average turnaround time for an order in the fraternity and sorority market is 24 hours. So you get an order on Thursday, it's shipped on Friday. So anyway, you can focus, you can be that expert, you can know more about that than anybody else. You know the secrets of that marketplace. The secrets meaning it's difficult for anybody to compete with you because you know that market, inside and outside, and it's hard for somebody from the outside to come in and take that business away from you. So I could talk about why of niche marketing through the whole show, and that's why our shows turn into 3 episodes instead of 1.
Yes, exactly. Well, because then I can as well. So can I put my little take on that then?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So everything that Terry said, and when you take from that, right, because it is, then you're speaking from a place of confidence. You're speaking from a place of, like you said, the secrets, you know, the lingo, you just love it, right? You breathe it. We all know when we've done something where it's just like, yeah, this is a task. This is a job, right? You get the job done and it's fine. Right. But when you're doing something that you're passionate about, right, where you're losing all track of time because you're so into it, right? You're the professional athletes call it in the zone, right? Or that kind of thing, the flow. That's a whole different level of things. And ultimately we want our niche to be able to fill that, to feed into that I love doing this so much that, as Terry says, we could sit and talk about it forever. Yeah. And honestly, that might be a way to kind of say, yeah, this is a niche for me. If you find yourself, when you take yourself out of wearing the hat of I'm a owner of this small business, and you just go, what is it that I am attracted to doing? What do I gravitate towards? Then whatever that is.
You're talking to your people. You're talking to your people.
Yeah.
If I'm a car person, and I'm talking to other car people. It's a natural thing, and they want to buy from you, and you want to sell to them.
Yeah, exactly. And so, and because then also you can then figure out uniquely what their challenges are, right? So you can find that area that works, even if it's a niche or a if you think about what we do, there's a lot of people that do, kind of sports stuff, right? Or school market, right? That was one, like, it's just so saturated. not true, right? I mean, you can then narrow that down. Maybe it's just your community. Maybe it's, Todd Downing's a great example of this, right? He did a lot of sports stuff, but he wasn't involved with the traditional sports that had all of the people going after them already, the football, the basketball, the baseball, right? He was focused in on the sports that didn't have everybody coming after me, the cross country, the depending on what area of the country you are, like a lacrosse or men's
archery
volleyball
club.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly, right? Chess club, that kind of stuff, right? So getting into then, because Todd was a cross country runner, so he was a familiar with the programs that were not I don't know, focused on it as much, had as many resources. So, so I guess, like I said, that's my, and then so you talk about this, Terry. Then what's your passion, right? So talk to us a little bit more about that.
I'm trying to get the picture out of my mind of Todd running cross country in flip flops, but
valid.
Well, yeah, you want to create a niche from your own experiences. What are you passionate about? What could get you excited? Not only about, hey, I love to pull the squeegee. I like doing that, but it's even more fun. Your business is more fun if it's something that you're passionate about, and it could be one of 1,000 things. But people will pay a premium for what they're passionate about, and we've all experienced that. We've all been to that concert, and we know that how much it cost to make that shirt. But did we pay $50 for one? Yeah, we did, because that's we want to share that experience. Hey, I was there kind of experience. We were talking about the Super Bowl before we went on the air, and I'm waiting for the tickets to go down a little bit more because I live a mile from State Farm Stadium. You can see it from Kim's shop upstairs. You can see the stadium out the window. So because I'm passionate about the Chiefs, and am I going to, if I do get the tickets a little bit lower and go buy and go to the game, am I going to buy a shirt there? Heck yeah. We went to the Fiesta Bowl last year. Do we buy shirts? Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
We were there, and that's why you wear, that's why most people wear what they wear. When Adrian held up her coffee mug that said Ohio University on it, that's another example of something that you're passionate about, something you want to associate with, something that brings you pride. And here's and maybe it's an obscure example, but I've done this. My best friend from college, we do some home brewing. We make beer at home, and there are thousands of people out there in the world who do that, and you could focus your niche on doing shirts and hats and koozies, obviously, and labels to put onto your homebrew beer bottles and things like that. And gosh, it is so much easier now than it ever was, because those groups are out there. You could probably go find 100 Facebook groups that for homebrewers, and are they proud of that fact? Do they want to let other homebrewers know that, hey, I'm a homebrewer too? Yeah, they do. And so I guess it's easiest to do a niche market with something that you're passionate about. It's your choice. Go out there and see if you can't, think about what you are passionate about, and think about when you're not running your embroidery machine, or you're not running your sublimation printer, who are your friends? Who are the people you're out there talking to and associating with? And think about finding a way to make that your niche.
Yeah. Well, and I think then going from that too, Terry, especially when you start with that, or, you're kind of like, how do I grow? And you get into finding that passion area, like you talked about there, right? And what that does for you too, is that also allows you to grow, beyond that, right? You're not just pigeonholing yourself into being only the home brewer guy, right? Because that home brewer guy might have another interest, and that kind of grows off of that. We've told the story, and Brett actually told the story on this show, however many years ago that was, about how he evolved, from the band guy into printing merchandise for the professional basketball team. And I checked in with him because I used that story in a recent article. I just checked in with him to make sure it was okay for me to share that. And he's like, yeah, and it's still true. We still print for him. Right. And, Brett didn't go out and all of a sudden become, an NBA basketball fan, but his business grew into that, so they have that ability to help people in that realm as well. And so, before we
go ahead. And that's, I was just going to say, that's a great example because he didn't change anything about his business.
Yeah.
He was printing rock and roll shirts, and the Dallas Mavericks said, hey, we want our shirts to look more rock and roll. And somebody goes, I know a guy. And so he's still doing the same style of decorating. He's just he's just expanded his niche, doing the same style of artwork to the NBA. And,
because he focused on being the very best in his niche, right? He was committed to, and like I said, he's still committed to the rock and roll, look, feel. The people that he hires are rock and roll. I mean, you go look at their webpage today and you look at their picture of the employees, like, those people all play in a band, guaranteed. Right? And I don't even know.
Exactly right.
Yeah, so,
and for anybody who doesn't know, this is Printed Threads in Fort Worth, Texas. Yes. And you go in, they have a stage set up in their warehouse, and they have beer in the fridge. And Fridays they'll do a little jamming and having some beers. It's a very rock and roll atmosphere in that company, but also very successful.
Yeah, exactly. So a couple of comments here from the regulators. Terry, Ramona says, I've shared this before, but I have a client that have carved out her niche with Boston Terriers, not dogs in general, but this breed specifically. Yeah, I mean, I think I've shared this story about the lady I used to print for that does corgis or corgi things, and she would have wiggle butt Wednesdays, right? Because if you've ever seen a corgi, their little butts just wiggle when they walk. They're the cutest things ever, right? And so, but that's what we're talking about, like getting down into that. Like Terry, I think you've met her too, but had a lady in a couple of my seminars over the years, and she would bring her stuffed, not alive, this was just an animal, hedgehog. And that was her niche.
Yes.
Around hedgehogs, right? So
yeah,
you gotta live it.
And that's their passion. They rescue hedgehogs, and how do they support that? By selling hedgehog T-shirts. So, what is it? Over the Hedge, I believe, is I think
you're
company.
right. Yeah, that's awesome that I didn't have all those details, but I love that. So, taking that and then kind of running, again, running with it from there. What's your passion and building on top of that. So, and then Terry, when you talked about, people will spend money on what they're passionate for, you talked about I've got a bunch of T-shirts that I know I could make better and cheaper that are all from these, volleyball events that I go to, and
right.
One wash and they all crack. Right. So I've now started just bringing them home and pressing them, but that's just it. Right. It's, you're going to pay, so Lori says, I just spent $25 on a plastic cup at Disney on Ice last week because, my granddaughter needed that cup, not some cup I could whip up. Right. And so her
it wasn't just for the cup.
There
was a Diet Coke in there too. So, you can't say it's $25 just for the cup. It was $24.50 for just the cup.
That's right. But you think about that, right? Lori, it's her granddaughter, right? If it would have been 50, I think there may have still been a thought going, okay, it's my granddaughter. Can I, so it's just one of those things. I'm not saying to go out and gouge people, but I'm just saying there's a value beyond the thing when, like you said, Terry, people are willing to pay a premium for things that they're passionate about because there's a value beyond just the thing. So real important here. And then just wanted to welcome in, we got Champagne Engraving joining us, new here. So welcome into the land of the Two Regular Guys universe, as I called it earlier, Terry. So the Regulators.
Champagne Engraving. Maybe we should change this to niche instead of niche. I feel like a company with champagne in the name would prefer us to say niche.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll try that. So speaking of that, let's get into it, Terry. What's give us some ideas of some niches or niche markets.
Sometimes it's a matter of the customer out there doesn't necessarily know that they're in the market for a product, and this is an odd one, and maybe it's not exactly a niche market, but I actually read about a collision center in Kentucky that gives out T-shirts when people come in to have their car repaired, but very specific. And the ad says, "Hit a deer, get a T-shirt." you get a T-shirt in rural Kentucky. If you hit a deer and have to have your car repaired, you come and get a T-shirt. Well, the owner of the repair shop said people always are coming in saying, "Hey, can I just buy one of those?" Nope, sorry. Now I'm hoping on hope that people aren't just like patrolling the back roads at night, trying to hit a deer so they can get the T-shirt. I'm thinking, man, I think you probably should just sell those. But it's some screen printer probably went in there and said, "Hey, I've got this great idea for you, and I need my car repaired. So in exchange for 100 T-shirts, here's the idea." But another example of that, where a market is there, but the person doesn't necessarily know. I had an artist who worked for me when I was on the campus of Ohio University, my first screen printing shop, and all my employees were college students. And she was just kind of sitting there, and I was doing some work, and she was telling me about being at the Russian embassy in Washington, D.C., and then being at the Colombian embassy. And I'm like, aren't you from Circleville, Ohio? And she's like, "Yeah." And I said, "Why are you in the Russian embassy?" And I said, "Oh," she goes, "My dad's the president of the National Corn Growers Association." And I'm like, "Well, that's cool. Do they have hats that say that?" Because I'm this guy. We should do shirts. We should do hats. Every scenario. And I said, do they have hats that say National Corn Growers Association on them? And she goes, "I don't think so." I'm like, "Well, call your dad." So we ended up doing hats, shirts, jackets for the entire National Corn Growers Association. Then it made me start thinking, I wonder if there are other associations out there that don't have merch, and it kind of turned into a little niche market for me, that going after these associations. So, but
that's awesome.
That your first thought should always be, we should do shirts.
We should do shirts. I love that. So cool. All right. So Champagne Engraving said, Reagan told me to get in touch. That's Reagan from Graphics Pro. And this, I believe it's Lori. So Lori, if I get that wrong, please correct me. But she says, my niche is engraving what other people won't touch: jewelry, sleds, coconuts. If I can lift it, I will engrave it. Right. And so there's another way to kind of define your niche, though, right? It doesn't have to be, a certain thing or group or whatever. It could be a something that people don't do, right? Like, I'm going to be the best at this. I will figure it out. Maybe you're really into problem solving, and therefore you understand how to make it work, right? And so love that. And Lori, hopefully, I'm putting her on the spot, but hopefully we'll have her on the program soon. So she's going to, I believe, be part of the Start Here Academy with us there coming up in June.
Oh, very good.
Yeah,
well, Aaron, when I said, do they have hats? Well, that was because I did a lot, pardon me, I did a lot of hats because I discovered a lot of screen printers didn't like to screen print. And of course, Eric's going to say you should embroider those, but I didn't have an embroidery machine. So, but a lot of screen printers don't like to do hats because they're hard. Yeah. Well, anything that's difficult, if you do enough of it, all of a sudden you get pretty darn good at it, and it's not hard anymore. And that's what this listener is kind of saying. And so I did tens of thousands of hats, and because other screen printers would have me screen print their hats for them. So same scenario. It was hard to do, so people didn't do it. So, my gosh, I'm going to do that. I'm going to figure out how to do it and not make it so difficult. So
yeah, that's awesome. I love that. Really, like you said, and I think this is another reason to focus on a niche, though, Terry, because then you can get really good at that, right? Like I know people that do things that I just don't like doing, but they've done that. They've just gotten really good at it, right? So, for example, we've gotten really good at making ornaments, Christmas ornaments, and we can do it very efficiently. Um, and so focusing in on that too. What is it that you can do? Because this gets back to what you said earlier, Terry, where we talked about trying to be everything to everybody. That makes it really difficult because now you got to, okay, I got to figure out how to do this. I've got 12 new products to try. My processes aren't very efficient yet. There's a lot of spoilage, right? But if you're the hat guy, if you're the, whatever person, right, then you get really good at that. And then
the coconut person,
right? Yeah. This is tough. Who do you go to? I go to Lori kind of thing. Right. So, I think this is what I'm hoping people will take from this, right? Is we're going to give you some ideas and we want you to kind of run with those. But really, what I hope people take from this, Terry, is just that this idea of really specializing in on something that you can be the very best at.
Exactly right.
Yeah. Yeah. So it is Lori, and she says, yes, Start Here Academy and with you guys. So I don't know if I've shared, I was able to be the MC of the Start Here Academy last year. I apparently did okay because they asked me back. So, so Lori, yeah, we want to get you on the show to introduce you to our community here and talk a little bit about what you do, but also talk a little bit about Start Here Academy. So I will be in touch soon. So
since it's your second year, shouldn't it be, let's keep going from here?
Yeah, let's keep going. I like that. So Barb here says, Terry says, there are lots of obscure associations. We have state rabbit associations, turkey associations, deer associations, local community centers that have many groups that use their facilities. Oh, that's a great idea, Barb. Go down to your local community center, look at the board that's on the wall where people tack up information about, upcoming events or whatever, or get a list of who's taken or, who's using the room, and then there you go. You've got a potential customer list right there.
Yeah, I went from the Corn Growers Association and staying on the farm. Next was the Quarter Horse Association, and did lots of garments and hats and for that association as well.
Yeah, good. Yeah, Barb continues on State Horse, right? Quarter Horse or whatnot. State Horse Association, regional associations, tractor associations. Like when my family had some horses for a little while, and for whatever reason, my dad got really into Tennessee walking horses, and there was like specific organizations for a Tennessee walking horse. It's like, wow, okay, interesting. Love it. All right, well, let's keep going then, Terry. From that, what other ideas do you have for people to run with?
Well, Todd, you were talking about Todd and selling to schools, and you're never gonna sell the football uniforms, and Champion's in there and Adidas, and they're in there. They own that marketplace. But when my sons were in high school playing football, junior high and high school playing football, they always had these T-shirts they wore under their pads. And some said defense, some said offense, some said family, and that's a whole marketplace, because trust me, anybody who's had sons who play football, those shirts don't last a whole season. They get no amount of washing solves the problem that you have with those shirts. But you could have a whole line of garments for football players or whoever, softball players to wear under that kind of ties the group together, and you could come up with 1,000 ideas of suggestions, and
just
reach
like
out to
inspirational
the coaches
sayings and
exactly.
teamwork makes the dream work, and those types of things, right?
Exactly right. And there's a marketplace for that. And as I said, my sons had shirts that said Blue Valley football and state champs and things like that. So it's just a pretty easy marketplace, I think, because I don't think a lot of folks think about that sort of thing, and come up with some ideas and start sending out some shirts to coaches, and they're not going to get your idea and then go shop it. They're gonna, if you give them that idea and You know,
and then
you
make it
do
easy
good
for them
work
to
and
buy.
deliver it on time. Make it easy for them to buy. Exactly right.
Yes,
They're
yeah.
going to buy it from you. So, anyway, that's
I love that. That's a great idea.
yeah. And again, you know, from looking at those shirts in the laundry, and I'm thinking, man, we should do shirts.
We should do shirts. There you go. Yep, I love that. Just have that mentality, and every time you do, think of Terry, right? So
Exactly.
it'll make it even more fun. All right. So Barb says
you can Venmo me. No.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. We'll put that QR code up for. No, I'm just kidding. All right. So Barb says mom spirit wear for all the different leagues and types of sports is a big market in my area. Yep, for sure. And again, just because Barb's doing it, just because Terry said he was doing it, right? Here's the other thing that I think is important about niche markets, Terry, is we have to have an abundance mentality. We have to understand that there's plenty out there for everybody. And if you're trying to just keep everything like, I've got to go grab everything, and it's not going to work. It's very counterintuitive, but you have to really just I want to collaborate. How can we work together? Right? Maybe, like you said, is there a chance that you go take a shirt to a coach and he goes and shops it? There's a chance, but if you've made it easy for them, you've given them all the information, there's a better chance that they're going to do it. Now maybe they've got a friend in the business, or it doesn't really matter. But if that's what's going to concern you about going out and being active about getting out and trying new niche markets, then yeah, you are going to struggle. But the second you just go, yeah, I'm going to go, like you said, make up a shirt and take it to a coach, then all of a sudden things start happening. So.
Well, Aaron, and you really hit on it, because our customers, for the most part, are not professional buyers.
Yeah.
So if you can make it easy for them to buy, they're going to buy it from you. The price is rarely an issue on something like this. It's the ease of the purchase and you getting it to them on time and them. I'll give you another example. When I was first getting started in my business, and I was at Ohio University, the basketball coach was Danny Nee, and I heard him on the radio talking about, I don't know how it happened, but we're like the bad guys of the league now. We're the bad guys of the Mid-America Conference. So I made a hat in green and white, and all it had on it was a skull and crossbones, and I sent it to him. And he called me and said, "Oh my God, I need to buy a dozen of these. I'm going to put them in the guys' lockers before the next game." And so when they came into the locker room, all of them had a skull and crossbone hat. And hey, it was a little order, but it was kind of a cool thing. And hey, it was a bragging point on my part, because hey, on TV, see those hats? I did those.
Those are my hats. Yeah, absolutely. And that could then. If you don't put that out there though, then there's what's Gretzky says, you miss all the shots that you don't take, right? And you're taking a shot. You got to take a shot, and you got to be willing to kind of put yourself out there, and then it could show up on TV, and who knows, that something like that could blow up into, yeah, I'm printing thousands of shirts. I'm part of that $5 million club, right? So
yeah, exactly right. And all those folks started somewhere.
Yeah.
Let me give you another example of my son Mike. When he in high school, he had a band. In college, he had a band called 6 Year Sophomore, which scared me a little bit. And then when when he was they were good. I mean, they opened for Maroon 5 and Bowling for Soup. And when he was out of college, he lives in Austin, so he had a band called Go Action Team. That's the one where Bowling for Soup came out on stage and said, "That's the greatest name for a band of all time, so we're going to steal it because we can." And every band has a merch table, but my son be like, it's so expensive. We have to buy so many shirts, and then we have all these left over in this size. And hey, if you are a sublimator, or you are a direct-to-garment person or direct-to-film person, reach out to all those local bands, and you can drive around and listen for music on Saturdays from garages. That's where they are. They're practicing in some garage on Saturday. They all want merch, but they don't want to buy 200 shirts. They want shirts that are like a real rock shirt. What's a real rock shirt? It's a black t-shirt, and it has a picture of the band on it. Well, if you're doing direct to garment or if you're doing direct to film, you could easily make those in small quantities for them. And then you can say to them, listen, you have a fill-in order. If it's one extra small, if it's 5 double X's, I can fill it in for you. I can fill them in before every show that you do. Here would be my approach though. I would go and like, if you're in Austin, 6th Street, that's where all the bands are. And so I would go to everybody that books the bands and say, listen, here's a box of packets with a sample shirt and a price list. And if every time a band comes in that wants to get on you, play at your venue, give them this packet and I will pay you 10% for every dollar that they spend with me buying shirts. And guess what? That person booking those bands is going to be handing those out to everybody. And all of a sudden you're going to be doing, 30 different rock bands, and maybe the orders will be 20 and 30 and 40 pieces at a time, but over and over and over again. And their merch table all of a sudden can have 5 different graphics instead of one. And I think it's an untapped market because the bands want the product, but they sell in shirts by day and play in bands on Friday and Saturday night. They want all those same types of products to sell. And yeah, they can go to Printed Threads and buy 144 shirts, or they can buy 5 from you. So I like that. I think that's an untapped marketplace.
I like it for sure. Okay. Let's hit a few more, but before we do that, let's also talk to some regulators here. Barb says, totally agree, Aaron. Mine is all local area stuff, 120-mile radius, but has boomerang outside that area, right? And so it's that growth mindset, that abundance mentality that I think is going to be key to really make this work. So, sorry, Eric. Accidentally hitting buttons, but all right, I'll unhit buttons. And she says Barb says to me, direct communication is key with customers or prospect customers. They aren't dealing with a phone service of press this, press that, right? And so again, that just becomes part of your niche of who you are. Yeah, you get to talk to Barb, right? You get to, work with Terry. You get to work with, somebody like Eric, right? Whatever that is, work with you. So, in fact, that actually came up in my seminar yesterday. I asked people, why people buy from you? And one lady said, because of me. And I said, absolutely right. 100%. So, Ramona says, and it was, talking about the skull and crossbones. And it was fun. You had an inspiration and you moved on it. So there you go. I like that.
Exactly.
All right. Let's see what else we got here. And I'll try to do it without accidentally hitting buttons. Eric, Kristen says, I started embroidering belts for martial art studios. Then I started printing t-shirts, then hats, then promotional products. Martial arts continues to be my main niche. To Terry's comment about pricing, my martial arts customer rarely asks for a price quote. They send me the artwork and tell me I need, however many t-shirts in these sizes, right? And love it. Great point, Kristen. And Lori from Champagne Engraving says, another part of the success of niche markets is contacting other personalization shops and letting them know what you specialize in and finding out what they specialize in. We can't all be experts in everything. I like that. Terry, any thoughts on that?
Well, 100%. If I'm a direct to garment person, and it's going to happen that somebody's going to walk in and say, well, I need 200. Well, could I do that on a direct to garment machine? I could. Will I? Absolutely not. I'm going to contract that to a screen printer, and screen printers who have automatic presses are always looking for work to keep those presses running. And so, yeah, 100%. I partner up with, if I were still an active printer and Eric was still an active embroiderer, we would absolutely be partnered up, and I would be sending embroidery work to him, and he'd be sending screen printing work to me. So 100% agree with that. Partnering up, and it's either that, or if a screen printer they can contract their work to a direct-to-garment printer or a sublimator. And if that's not available to them, guess what? They're going to go out and buy that equipment and become your competitor instead. So
Yeah.
so let's be friends.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. All right. Well, Terry, I think we've got time maybe for one more each. I know you've got a list, and so the 52.
And I have a whole slide presentation. I have
I know.
52 of them over here.
All right. Well, tune back in
Well-
for another niche market show. We'll be back. But, give us one more, Terry.
Okay, here's one. When my and I've talked about this on the show, so apologies to our multiple year listeners. But when my daughter Taylor was in high school, she was a cheerleader, and their fundraiser. And by the way, cheerleaders are always fundraising. Keep that in mind. They've got to buy uniforms. They got to go to camp. Their fundraiser was all the kids from middle schools and elementary schools in the community can come on Saturday and learn to do a dance, and you can dance on the football field with the cheerleaders next Friday night. And it's just $20. What do you get for your $20? T-shirt, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And so and of course, when I saw those shirts, it was a one color print. The cheerleading advisor, I'm sure, had just gone out and found a screen printer to do it. But I thought, man, that's a neat fundraiser. And so what I would do is I would package that and mail it to every cheerleading advisor within the tri-state area or within the state of Arizona or within the region. And here's how you do this fundraiser. Step 1, step 2, step 3. And guess what? We'll provide the t-shirts for you. And you think they're going to go shop that out? They're going to say, this is a great idea to raise money for the cheerleaders. It's easy to do. We're going to be dancing on the field Friday night anyway. So they're going to buy those shirts from you. So take that though. And how else could you take a concept like that and then just duplicate it. And as you duplicate, then it becomes a niche market. Guess what? We can do it for basketball season as well. So
yeah, I love that. Yep. Perfect. All right. Well, I've got one more too, and then we can close this up. So my idea is think about content creators, and that covers a pretty wide range. So then you can kind of work down from there. But let's just, as an example, everybody on YouTube, if you go watch, especially the people that are like, I unfortunately know some of the big name people out there on YouTube because my son lives on YouTube, it feels like. So you've got like a guy, Mr. Beast is the name that pops up a lot in my house, but he's got his own line of merch now, right? His stuff, because these content creators were making revenue by ad dollars, and Google said, oh, we're going to hold on to a little bit more of that. Right. And so now all the people kind of in the mid range, they're going, how am I going to make money? And merch is definitely those things. It's that tactile reminder of being part of that community. Terry, you talked about it, right? With the football teams but the same thing happens with content creators. So, that could be, like I said, a YouTube personality. It could be an influencer of some sort. It could be, even if you think about like an artist, technically they're a content creator, right? So there's a lot in that space. And so I know that's pretty wide open, but you think about what you're doing for them. You're providing a bridge between their community and them that's tactile, that people can touch and feel. So Terry, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's surprising how many people I talk to about equipment that is the niche they're in. I'm doing products for 5 different influencers, and it's a lot of products. And the influencer is out there. The shirt that influencers are wearing, it's available from, and click here.
Yep.
And I think it's an awesome idea. It's a brand new marketplace, and it's not going anywhere. It's only going to get bigger. So I love that idea, and I think it could be. And you can. And here's the beauty: you do the whole thing for them. You can even set it up as a store.
Yeah.
What does that mean? You get paid first, and you pay them. You cut the check to them, to the influencer, and they don't want to touch it. They don't want to get a box of shirts in the mail and have to mail them out. You do the whole thing. People will pay a premium for fulfillment. Fulfillment's been around for decades. This is just a new way to use that process, packaging the whole deal. And I love the idea. So,
yeah. And if you do it, going back to what we talked about with Brett, right? You do a good job at that. You do good work, deliver on time, you make it easy for them to buy, all those things. Guess what? Then that's going to grow, right? I mentioned an artist as a content creator. I've done some work for an artist, and that has grown into, they also need other things that weren't necessarily merch, right? That they actually need the prints made or done, or so then that becomes
the
influencers,
and they know each other. The influencers know each other, and hey, where are you getting those shirts done? Hey, where are you getting your hats done?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because they're all working together to try to figure out how they get more of their art out into the world. So they're probably in some Facebook group, and like you said, then they're going to talk, right? And so it all grows if you go into it with the mindset of, I'm going to be the best in this place, but I have to refine this down to a point where I really can stand out as the best in this place. And so it can't be, I make shirts for creators, right? You have to get to that point where there is some reason that they're going to come to you, right? And it could be because of the passion or the group that you're identifying with, or it could be because of a unique thing you do or are able to do. We talked about Lori, creating stuff that other people probably don't want to touch because she can problem solve, right? And so it could be something like that. It could just be a relationship that you have. So
I can't stop thinking about engraved coconuts. So,
well, then you can like make the coconut bikini type thing, right?
Exactly.
All right. Before we get too far off the rails, Terry, wow, dude. So once again, we didn't get all the way through the list, but nobody's shocked by that at all, I don't think.
Yeah. I always like to have more content than we need. We don't want to get 45 minutes into the show and say, well, that's it. Yeah. That's by the way, in 10 years has never happened. So
yeah. Even though when we started, Terry, I remember one of the first things Terry said to me is, what are we going to talk? And mind you, when we started, we were 30 minutes every other week. And we were like, what are we going to talk about for 30 minutes every other week? And then our true colors came out. So, all right, here we are. Terry, what's happening in your world? What's Big Book of Travels telling you these days?
Yeah, it's getting full. My complete screen printing business course I will be at Atlas Screen Supply in Chicago, March 4th and 5th. I will be at Workhorse Products in Phoenix, March 11th and 12th. February 25th, I'll be speaking at DAX, Kansas City. I'll be doing 2 seminars, everything you ever wanted to know about DTG and DTF printing. And second, the ultimate seminar for successfully using specialty ink, ultimate underline. And you can find all my events at terrycombs.com.
Yeah. Terry, you need to make that in bold as well, underline and bold. Okay.
I think you're right. Yeah, I will for next week.
Okay, good. Just make that clear. Well, let's talk about what Eric's got coming up, and then I'll share a couple things that I've got happening, and we'll head off into another amazing weekend here. So Eric has got episode number 143 happening today, making sense of customers and markets for machine embroidery. So looking forward to hearing about that. In this episode, he's going to talk about the questions that you ask yourselves to determine customer focus, use cases, and market segments, as well as decorating styles that dictate how we spend our shop setup and marketing dollars. So almost feels a little bit more in depth than what we did here, Terry, to be honest with you. So you want to get in and just amazing stuff happening over there at the Take Up. If you're not a regular reciprocator, I believe is what they're called over there, make sure that you are tuning in. You can join at 2:30 Mountain Time today and share your takes like you did here on the Two Regular Guys. So go over to Eric Campbell, ERICH Campbell.com to check that out. DAX Kansas City, as you mentioned, Terry, coming up very soon here on the 23rd and 24th. Eric will be teaching some classes. He's got a longer workshop that is on the day before the show. So if you're planning to come in for the show, make sure that you do plan to show up that day before to get in on Eric's class. It's entitled Build Up Your Digitizing Design Elements and Execution. So really great class that give you lots of really in-depth detail. And then, Eric always leaves you with an ebook as well. And just the value and content is incredible. He's got a shorter seminar then happening on the 24th, which is Embroidery RX, a digitizer's view. Excuse me, I don't know why that was so hard to say, but you're going to learn about troubleshooting designs. And so you can get more information about those two seminars over at Dax Show. There's no S on the end of that. DaxShow.com, DAXShow.com. So looking forward to seeing you guys out in Kansas City, Terry.
Absolutely. Looking forward to that as well.
Yeah. So speaking of that, I will be in Kansas City myself, and the show dates are the 24th and 25th. But again, like I said, get out there on the 23rd. And our success group has a booth there. It's booth 211. So make sure that you stop by the booth and say hello. But when I'm not in the booth, I will be teaching a few classes here. The first one is happening the morning of the 24th. It's called The Simple Art of Working on Your Business. And then later that day, I will be teaching a seminar entitled The 5 Keys of Marketing. And just as an FYI, those 5 keys have nothing to do with talking about Facebook ads or this, that, or the other thing. It's to me what the real foundation of marketing is. And so we're going to get into that. So then if you should go learn how to dance on TikTok or, something different, right? So I did promise that I would dance the gritty on my TikTok channel one of these days. So my son's still trying to teach me. And it seems very simple, the idea of it, but apparently I'm still not doing it right. So I got to work on it. But anyhow, sorry, I digress.
You feel like it's right, but
it seems right to me. I don't get it, but okay. Then the next day on the 25th, it's a kind of a different seminar, Terry. It's probably could work anywhere, but certainly going to be speaking to the especially small business owners, solopreneurs, people that are wearing lots of hats. But it's called Getting Your Life Back, and it's really just about priority management and how we do that, what kind of strategies we can utilize to, wear all the hats and yet still feel like you're running your business, not the other way around. So really, really looking forward to sharing that information that I've been able to learn from people over the years. And so that's Decorated Apparel Expo in Kansas City. Right after that, I'll be heading to Lafayette, Louisiana for the EEM show. And I'm actually teaching 5 classes there, March 3rd through the 5th. And so I will be busy, but I'll just run through them real quick here, Terry. Keys to starting a product decorating business, kind of the intro, the 101. Then we'll get into the little mindset stuff with unlocking your potential and how do we overcome limiting beliefs. And then the next class is finding your customers, standing out in a crowd. That is all about the marketing stuff there as well. Number 4 is it's time to take action, and really kind of a getting your priorities straight and how to then take action that's going to be productive action. And then the last one is pricing for profit. So those are my on the road, Terry. And then one other thing I'd like to just let people know about. I've just launched a new program over at our success group, and I'm really looking for anybody that has a group, a community. Maybe you're a admin of a Facebook group, or you have a community of small business owners that you want to be able to support them even more. I found a kind of what I would consider a proven format in masterminding that really is incredible to watch people grow and blossom from. And so I figured out a way that I can support people that have these admin groups admins of like Facebook groups or whatever. I've figured out a way that I can take the process that I've learned and kind of be the support mechanism for people to bring their own mastermind groups to their community. So if you want to go to mosmasterminds.com, you can read more about it. You can also schedule a call with me there to learn about how that might be something that would be beneficial for your community. So mosmasterminds.com. Yeah. Thanks, Terry.
Sounds like an awesome program. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Take advantage of this, you guys out there listening.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. All right, Terry. Well, fantastic job. Once again, Terry comes through with an amazing niche markets show with more to come. Like I said, one of these days we're going to get to that last slide, but until then, just keep tuning in.
Exactly. Who knows? We also want to thank our show producer, Eric Campbell, for keeping the wheels turning. And as Aaron mentioned before, Aaron always has an ebook. And so for anybody who didn't know, ebooks were named after our show producer, E. Rich. So it's
man,
it's a thing.
Wow. That was a really good head shake there too.
Am I still on? Am I still?
Yeah. Barely. You're hanging on by a thread, brother. Yep. All right. Well, again, yes. Thanks, Eric, very much for everything that you do and just being a good friend of the show and otherwise. So, Terry, next week we've got another friend of ours, Ray Weiss from Printing United, is going to be joining us. They've got a new thing that they've launched over there. It's kind of been a soft launch so far, and they're really starting to get it out there and growing it. It's in its infancy here and ready to start taking off. It's called iLearning Plus, and it's their new platform that they've put together over there at Printing United. So I've learned a little bit about it. You and I are going to be involved in it, Terry, and this is really cool. So we're going to talk to him just a lot about education, though. Ray's an education guy. He comes from the color world, kind of wide format world, but he gets it on all the levels. And so what he's really about is education and just a wealth of knowledge himself. So I'm looking forward to talking to Ray next week, Terry.
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to that as well. So until then, let's go Chiefs. I'm Terry Combs. He's Aaron Montgomery.
Let's go Eagles. And we are the Two Regular Guys.
Here we go. We're out.
Awesome.
Thank you for listening to Two Regular Guys. Check out our website at tworegularguys.com. That's the number 2, regularguys.com. You can also interact with us over at our Facebook page, facebook.com/tworegularguys, or send us a tweet, twitter.com/tworegularguys. And we have a YouTube page. You can find all that from our website, tworegularguys.com. Thanks for tuning in, and we look forward to spending some time with you again next week.